Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Spark Faith Podcast. I am Dr. Chris Sargent, and it is Foodie Friday. So, we are going to talk about food today. We are going to talk about gut health and food. Because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, we're also going to talk about gut-brain connection and food. And so, we're going to start with a thread from what we talked a little bit about on Wednesday. We were talking about cultivating, right? We're talking about cultivating a garden. We're talking about cultivating good gut health. And one of the first things that we have to do, the first thing we have to do is take the weeds out of the garden, right? Your good, beautiful flowers or plants that you're going to create zucchini or whatever, tomatoes, they can't grow if there's a bunch of weeds, right? And the good bugs in our gut, the good bacteria in our gut, cannot grow when we keep throwing junk food down our gullets, right? Like the food that we know is bad for us is the stuff that really creates a lot of issues in our gut. And so that brings up that whole gluten thing. And why is gluten bad? Oh my goodness. There's a whole bunch of reasons that many people, not everybody, not every people, should not eat gluten. One of the main pieces of this whole gluten puzzle is, if you've already got an autoimmune disorder, we know that gluten can aggravate that. We know that gluten can aggravate guts even when you have a negative celiac test. We know that there is non-celiac gluten sensitivity. And so there's a lot of reasons to not eat gluten, right? There's some reasons to eat it, and we're not going to talk about that today because we're talking about weeding the garden. So what that floats into is the difference between a sensitivity and an allergy. So what's the difference between a food sensitivity and a food allergy? So allergies are things that will kill you. Okay, allergies are the kid that eats the peanut, whose throat swells up, tongue swells up, goes into what's called anaphylaxis, which is a shock of the body, and he has this gigantic immune reaction, which could be life-threatening. Those are allergies, right? They're immediate, they're life-threatening, and this is why your medical doctor will look at your allergies. That is their job, right? They want to make sure you don't die. Food sensitivities, on the other hand, more than likely will just make you miserable, right? And the traditional medical side of all of that is that's not what they do. They want to make sure you don't die. The more alternative or functional doctors are about like quality of health and how healthy are you? How close to health are you? How can we make you healthy? How can we help you get to a healthier place? How can your body be healthier to do what God put you on the planet to do, right? Like that's body for God. So food sensitivities are about a whole different kind of immunoglobulin, right? Immunoglobulin E is this hyperreactive, oh my goodness, kind of makes your body go nuts and you can die. Whereas IgG is a slower developed sensitivity to certain foods that is pushed forward by leaky gut. Now, okay, so how do we get leaky gut? Or if you look it up in the literature, impaired intestinal permeability, right? We know what permeability is, a big word, and it means like permeable, things can go through, right? So impaired permeability. It's not supposed to go through that much, right? Our intestines are semi-permeable. They're not supposed to be leaky, right? They're not just supposed to be a soaker hose where lots of things come through the lining and hit your immune system. Like I told you, your immune system, like a hose, right? And your immune system is located in the wall of the hose. So all this stuff hitting your immune system causes slow increases of IgG. And it's that immunoglobulin that causes all kinds of crazy symptoms, right? From headaches to joint pain to fatigue to gut disruption, right? From diarrhea to constipation and back and forth again to cramping. I mean, the headaches, right? The list of symptoms that goes along with food sensitivities is very, very long. And so that's the main difference. And so looking for food allergies is important. Looking for food sensitivities is just as important. And weeding out the main sensitivities so that you're already, ahead of the game: gluten, dairy, eggs, and then there's this whole list of things. For some people, it can be soy, it can be citrus fruits, it can be shellfish, right? These are all things that can start causing problems for some people. And, gluten, dairy, eggs are the top ones. Sugar isn't officially one of them. However, the addictive component to sugar creates a whole other set of inflammatory sort of wind down cascade kind of things that happen. So weeding the garden and taking out the offending foods is what we're really talking about here. So where do you start, right? It's not simple. It's but it can be easy, especially these days, right? Taking out gluten isn't that big of a deal anymore because there's gluten-free everything. Taking out dairy, to me, is actually a little bit harder. Taking out tomatoes or eggs, a little bit harder, right? So it's working with somebody who can help you figure out what needs to be done, and then how do you work that into your life. And it's very doable. It doesn't have to be hard. I think you'll find that most of the recipes that I put up are going to be gluten-free, or very easily shifted over. Or there's like I made fajitas a couple weeks ago. Like, there's lots of ways to eat them without a wheat-filled tortilla, right? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. So Foodie Friday, we've talked about ridding our body of the offending foods when we're trying to heal our gut. And so when we do that, then our gut can work better. We can absorb better nutrients, which also means we can make our neurotransmitters more efficiently, which means our brains work better. And, just as an aside, there's a lot of empirical evidence, or at least, what we hear out there is that gluten can also cause a lot of brain fog. And so we really want to take a look at that. If brain fog is something that you're really struggling with, then that's something that we can certainly talk through and work through. You can work through that to see if that's a problem. And just so you know, it's 90 days. Like 2 weeks of going gluten-free, a month of going gluten-free is not really that's not gonna tell you everything you need to know. So it's 90 days to really get that immune response to dwindle down to almost nothing. So I will leave you with that on Foodie Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. I will put up some recipes, I promise. And have a great one. Take care, y'all. See you Monday.